So, hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the WDW with me podcast. It's me again, flying solo because Darren is working. He's actually working at the Commonwealth Games this week. So today we are joined with Mel from wwishyouweremel on Instagram, and we've been chatting for, I would say, a while now.
Yeah,
It has been, hasn't it?
yeah. Good few months anyway. I've been up and running. TikTok was up a year ago. I started my TikTok, and it was maybe about 6, 7 months ago I really started kind of the Instagram. Yeah.
I think it was, and it was kind of not long after that actually we started kind of chatting on it. Fellow Scots. I think
This is
that's really what happened, wasn't it? It was some of your posts. I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. I think the reason for asking you on just now was obviously 50 days today we are in Paris.
Yeah,
And also you are there at the same time.
I am.
How
Yes.
interesting is that going to be?
I can't wait to see you in real life.
Actual meet up, I know, it'll be amazing. Saying that, my kids have just literally come in before we pressed record here, and I think they're actually going to just want to go about with you for the entire time.
That's absolutely fine. That is no problem at all. We'll go on all the rides. I can be the babysitter for the day.
Take them all, they would love it. They would absolutely love it. So we'll just start with some questions. I've sent you a few questions in advance just so that you can be a little bit pre-prepared and not be like me and go off on tangents. But I mean, it's two Scottish girls talking. Of course, we're going to go off on
It's
tangents.
inevitable.
It's just never not going to be, is it? When did your love of Disney begin?
So as far back as I can remember, I've seen photographs of myself as a baby wearing like Mickey Mouse jumpers. And actually a Mickey Mouse jumper with a Scottish Tammy hat on. I must find it and share it with you. So it goes back that far. I think I don't remember, but my mum always told me that she took me when I was 3 to see a recording of Snow White at the cinema. And I think she thought I'll never sit through it, but I did. I sat through the whole thing. I actually think I cried at one point, like I got quite emotional at one point during it. And then I
Happened.
suppose every Christmas, since then, every Christmas as a child, I would get like a new Disney like VHS to start with. That's how old I am. And then as I got a bit older, it was like a new Disney DVD every single Christmas. And then when I was 9 years old, 10 years old, it was actually Disneyland Paris's 5th year anniversary. And I was part of a dance club, and had the really fortunate opportunity to go over and dance in the New York Hotel at the time, which is now the Marvel.
Yeah.
Yep. So my grandparents, who were quite heavily involved in my childhood, they brought me over and my sister over. So that was my first experience, I suppose, of Disneyland Paris. Well, it was Euro Disney back then, and there was only one park. So the Studios slash Adventure World wasn't even there at that time. So
that's where it began. Wow. That's
yeah,
fantastic. Like,
yeah,
isn't it funny how something like that can just shape your adulthood as well?
definitely, definitely. And like I always look back on that with such fond memories, and even back then the queues were wild. The queues to see the characters were so long, and I remember waiting in them with my grandmother and my sister to see Chip and Dale. And it took forever for us standing, and it was kind of around the October time that we were there, so it was kind of starting to be Halloween, and it's kind of getting chilly. But yeah, it was amazing memories, amazing memories. And dancing, being able to remember dancing in, the New York Hotel at the time as well was just phenomenal. As a young person, as a child, it's just the dream, isn't it? To be able to
Some
perform in
opportunity.
Disney.
Yeah, it's absolutely some opportunity to be able to say that you've done that.
Yeah, yeah, that was good.
It's amazing, yeah.
And we
So
stayed
that
on site as well. So we
that's it.
stayed in, well, it was the Santa Fe. But back then it wasn't really Cars. It wasn't Cars themed at all. I don't think Cars was around at that point. Um, but it was kind of like Wild Western type. Um, and yeah, I remember staying in the Santa Fe. It hasn't changed since. It definitely has not changed. The colour scheme's still the same. Um, so yeah, I really love the memories.
So we only had our first Disneyland Paris trip 2 years ago, because obviously Darren worked in Florida
Yeah.
for Disney, so it was his 40th And I thought, do you know what, we need to kind of branch out to the whole Paris thing. We'd not long started our Instagram and everything else, our YouTube channel. I thought we need to branch into this, but I want to try and have a feel for it without the kids. Just before we take them, because I thought, well, they're used to 4 big parks, they're used to 2 water parks, they're used to the size of Walt Disney World. I thought I want to kind of judge it before we actually take them there. And then I'm not saying they'll be disappointed. They might just have a lot higher expectations to what it's going to be like there. Yet again, we might take them and they might love it. So obviously, like I said earlier, we're going in 50 days, and I thought there's nobody else better other than the Disneyland Paris Queen to get on and discuss them.
No, they'll have a ball. They'll really enjoy it. The kids will have a ball, and especially with the new World of Frozen, like Arendelle that's opened up. It's so magical. It really is so immersive. You feel like you're in Arendelle.
Do you know what? I'm really excited for them to compare some of the rides. The rides that are similar but different.
Yeah.
I think Darren and I both say that Haunted Mansion is much better. Like Phantom Manor is much better in Paris as the Haunted Mansion is in Orlando. Even the Pirate ride is much better in Paris as it is in Orlando. So it's really interesting to see the kids take on that, just to see if they agree.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't like about Disneyland Paris, but that was our fault for choosing to go in January, was the -6 temperatures.
Right, and I made that mistake as well. We went in January this year, and I mean it was blizzards when we were over there. It was, I mean, you can see some of my photographs on my socials. Like we were like snowmen at one point because we were just covered in snow. And it was magical. It was still magical, but I don't know if I would go back in January again, just because it was so cold, so we were wet as well. So you had the snow, we had the rain. Your feet, as much as we tried to have waterproofs and stuff on, it still manages to get through the wetness. Still manages to get through.
We see the pictures that we've got of the castle in the snow. They're so magical, and it's not what you're used to seeing. You're used to seeing splitting skies. Oh my goodness, it's normally roasting, and then you go there and it's like this. This feels strange, but weirdly magical at the same time.
It's still definitely magical, and you get to see Santa, and like Mrs. Claus is there, and even when we went in January, the festivities, the winter festivities were still on, so we were really lucky. We still got to see all of that, and like the Christmas parade and stuff. So that was magical, that was beautiful. But just in terms of the weather, it's, for me, and you could go and the weather's bone dry and you're fine, but I just think you've got a higher risk of the rain and the snow. And then with that comes wide closures, travel disruptions. So like before we were going, there was travel disruptions as well with the trains and the flights and stuff. So there's just that added extra bit of anxiety before you go and while you're there as well, because you were thinking, am I going to get home? Am I going to get back home after all of this?
And I think wherever you go, I think whether you go to Orlando or whether you go to Paris, you've got that, because if you go during hurricane season, we have been during a hurricane.
Look, right now, obviously, there's been, the last couple of weeks, there's been the heat waves over in Paris, and rides have closed, and obviously shows have been, reduced. And you can totally understand that as well, for the safety of staff, for the safety of the cast members, but also for the safety of the guests. So, like, at any time of the year, I suppose, you run weather's so unpredictable. You can't predict the weather. So
we're Scottish and we know that more than anybody.
Right, exactly. I would rather go, again, for me though, I'd still rather go in the summer, because I think you're more likely to get nice weather, and I'd much rather be like stuffing my face with the ice cream, the Mickey ice creams and the gelatos, than
downside to us going in January, and because it was so icy and cold and snowy, they didn't have the champagne out. The champagne cart wasn't there.
Right. Yeah.
So I was devastated by it. It was a child-free trip. I wanted to try that champagne.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and it's lovely. It's actually really lovely.
I will be having that in 50 days.
And you're going to collect. So there's three of the champagne flutes to collect.
Yes.
So
I've seen that.
Yeah. So I've got one. I've got the blue one. And I did have the silver one, but I gave mine away to DLP Tips for Irish. I don't know if So he was there the same time as us, and he he was like, "Oh, I really want to get a silver one." And I was like, "Oh, here you go. Like, this is my little kind of like pixie dust to use." So I like that idea. Let's do that. We'll get a wee drink in the Regal Lounge.
Absolutely, we need to. So now, obviously, I've mentioned that we will be there at the same time. What are your plans for future trips? I know you've got a lot of future trips planned.
I've got four. I've got 4 trips booked for the next 4 months. So we are going in 7 days' time. I'll be there in 7 days' time. Yep, a week today. We will be in Disneyland Paris. So myself and my husband are going for a few days. And then I'm back for Princess Week, which I'm so excited about. There's a kind of large group of us going kind of like together, kind of like all Disney adults. So looking forward to that. I'm staying off site for Princess Week. Then I'm back there for annual pass party in
Which is
September.
amazing. Yep.
Yep, and then back again in October where I'm staying in the Disneyland Hotel. So
I
I'm
mean,
so excited for that. Yeah, so excited for that.
you have to do a room tour. I need to see that.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have to see that. That
I'd
just,
love
it's
to. I would love to upgrade. However, to say to the that's what I don't. Yeah, it's expensive enough as it is, so I might need to leave that for a future trip.
it'll happen.
It will.
You've always got to have a reason to go back.
I go, yeah, four more trips, and no doubt I will have another one booked in before Christmas. Maybe November, December time to experience even though I said I would like to go in the winter, but just to get that Christmas fix, I think I'm maybe safer this side of Christmas than the January side of Christmas.
So when you have an annual pass,
Mhm.
surely that's got to be priority that you do try and make as many trips as you can to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, I want to get the most out of my annual pass, and that was kind of why as well. I really hummed and hawed whether to get the annual pass, and which one would suit me better. So
What one do you have, just out of
I've got the
interest?
gold. I've got the gold annual pass now, just because I work Monday to Friday. So, getting getting the bronze or the silver just wasn't going to work for me because you're limited in your weekends. So, for me, it's handy. I can take like a Friday, Monday off work and go for the weekend to DLP, or if I'm taking annual leave. A bit more flexible. I've got a bit more flexibility. But I did think, at the time when I got my annual pass, I knew that I was coming back in July. I knew I was going to have another 2 trips planned at least anyway. And actually, did I have? I had my World of Frozen opening weekend already booked in, so I had that before I got the annual pass. And what I actually did was I chat GPT'd, and I was like, okay, these are the trips that I am planning to do, and these are the dates roughly. So roughly about 3-4 days. Is it worth me getting, a gold annual pass? Because I wasn't want to invest in one if I wasn't going to get the use out of it. It's a lot of money, it's a lot of money.
We were looking at them, so going from the silver to the gold is a big jump.
Massive jump.
It's like almost double. If not, it is double.
Yeah, and I think like you really need to know that you're going to be making the use out of it, and especially if you're a family and you're paying that money as a family. What I would say is like you can pay it up. So that for me was a massive kind of like tick. At least I was like, well, look, I've got a deposit to pay, which is fine, and then it's just a monthly fee. So that made it a little bit easier. But actually, I was breaking at that point. I was breaking even. So ChatGPT had said, look, you're breaking even. However, with the 15% discount that you'd be getting on merch, restaurants, and quick service, as well as the photo pass. Now, I wouldn't have used the photo pass anyway, to be quite honest with you, Ash. I wouldn't have bothered with it, but it's a bonus that I've got it. So at that point I was like, okay, but I'm breaking even, so I've got nothing to lose in that case, and I'm getting a discount. So for me that was what won it. And then obviously I was like, well, now I have it. I may go more times. Yeah. I may make the most of it.
Absolutely. You only live once. Like, this last year's taught us anything. Like, just do what makes you happy. Genuinely, do what makes you happy.
Yeah,
There's no point in
100%.
putting off and putting off and putting off because you
No,
don't know what's around the corner. You really don't.
no, you don't at all. And I think for me as well, like I've had some health issues and stuff, and um, you know, I was putting my life on hold for a lot of things that um weren't happening, and I kind of thought, I'm not going to do it anymore. Like time's ticking, and I want to travel. I want to do more things. Like I want to experience more Disney. So why not? So yeah, I think that's one thing that I would definitely say is, don't wait for something because it'll
Yeah.
pass you by.
Yeah, so now we're on that subject. You're leading us quite very nicely actually into the next. So if you only had one day at Disneyland Paris, just because you booked a let's just do it trip, but you've only got one day in Disneyland Paris, what would your game plan be? How would you schedule out your day?
I would be strategic, and I would schedule within an inch of my life. I wouldn't normally say this. If you're going to the parks for a couple of days, I would be like, don't make any set plans because you've got so much time to just enjoy the parks and take it easy. But if you were time limited, I absolutely would be strategic. I would be getting to know your app inside out, get to know your map inside out. Um, Personally, I would always start in the Disneyland park. For me, that just sets the tone. When you're walking through under the train station and you see the gazebo and then you see the castle and you're listening to the music, that for me kind of sets the tone of the day. And we are going to go from there. It's a bit of nostalgia that's there. So I would always start in Disneyland Park, soak up Main Street in the castle first, and then I would head to Frontierland. That's where I kind of would go first. So get Big Thunder Mountain, Phantom Manor out the way. I would try and then go to Adventureland, do Indiana Jones, get Pirates out the way, and get the major rides done as quickly as you can because the queues can go crazy. I would always, and this is the one thing I always love to do, is probably the first thing I always do when I get into the parks is head to Coco's for a frozen margarita. So I would be doing that as well and grabbing a wee burrito. And then watching The Lion King. So I definitely would try and fit in. That was my regret from last year. I didn't get a chance. So last year I surprised my sister over in Disney. She didn't know I was coming. And we only had 2 days, really quick 2 days in the parks. And my biggest regret was not doing The Lion King. So I would always say that to people, if you've only got one day, go. It's only 30 minutes. Go and watch The Lion King. It's a spectacular show. So I would definitely fit that in. Then work your way around, go to Discoveryland, do Hyperspace Mountain, and then I would park hop and I would jump over to Adventure World and spend the rest of your late afternoon there, again doing Tower of Terror, doing Avengers, going over to Arendelle and doing the Frozen Ever After ride, seeing the Celebration of Arendelle as well. So I would do that for the afternoon, grab some food at Regal View, which is fabulous. I was there in January and it was incredible. The food was just wonderful and you get to meet the characters as well. So you're getting that character interaction. And for me, ending the night with Tales of Magic. So going back again, there's a lot of walking involved, but going back again to the Disneyland Park for Tales of Magic in the evening. That for me would be the perfect day. But I would definitely be wanting to check the ride times. Your app is going to be your best friend. Especially on a one day, to check the times of the shows, to check the waiting times of the rides. Especially if you don't know the parks, it's really handy for being able to navigate around the parks with the app. So, and then to finish off the night, came from my husband, and my husband had said, "Oh, you need to mention this." The Earl of Sandwich. So once the park's finished, once the fireworks have done, go off to the Disney Village and jump into the Earl of Sandwich to grab a sandwich for your midnight snack.
Like, it's just a dream day, isn't it, really? Starting with a frozen margarita, like, who's going to... No,
Right.
that needs to be done. Followed by the champagne flute.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and exactly. Well, you definitely have the champagne flute while you're watching Tales of Magic as well, because it's so lovely. And we did that. I remember doing that last year with my mum and my sister. We got the champagne and we sat and watched Tales of Magic at night in the blistering heat, but with the champagne, and it was just the core memories that we've got from that. We'll have them forever.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? And if you go with like-minded people,
Mm-hmm.
I've said this in the podcast before, if you go with like-minded people, you are absolutely going to have a blast.
Well,
You can be anywhere in the world, you go with like-minded people, you're going to have a blast, but especially in Disney. Because I think if you you get a lot of people who go, you're adults and you're going to Disney. It's like, it's not all Mickey Mouse, it's not all singing and dancing. There's so much magic and so much nostalgia about it.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. My
I
husband would
understand.
disagree. My husband is not a massive Disney fan. If you see any of my socials, you will. Yeah, I'm known for my grumpy husband. However,
No,
he
I
has
think
volunteered like 2 more times to go back, so that's on him. So he must like it somewhere in
that's a
his psyche.
start. Do you ever think sometimes though they're putting up too much of a stance, and it's like actually you do like it,
Right. And my
you're
husband's
pretending you don't.
yeah. And I think to keep that macho,
Yeah.
that macho stance. So yeah. But we've got another 2 trips booked. So yeah, keep an eye on my socials for more grumpy husband content.
More taking the mick out of your husband.
He just
People keep saying to us every podcast I listen to, it's just Dad and I. They're like, I love how you just sit and like, not a full blown argument, but you just sit and have the banter back and forward because it's just normal life. It's just how it is. It's not, you're not sugarcoating anything.
No, exactly, and definitely not in our relationship, And I think a lot of people think that's like they must think that we argue all the time. We don't. It's banter, It's we take the mickey out of each other, and yeah, that's what makes it work.
Yeah, every time some like ours go live, I get messages, normally from the same people, mind you, saying, "Oh my goodness, this is hilarious because that just sounds like me and my husband, or that just sounds like such and such and such." And it's so nice to hear because it's like you're relatable.
Yeah,
and I think that's key in socials, isn't it? To be relatable, like everything we post is honest reviews. It's not. We're not going to, like I said, we're not going to sugarcoat everything because there's no point. People actually look up to you for advice and opinions, and if you're going to give them, go and spend like $150 at Cinderella's Royal Table when actually we don't really like it. So why would you do that?
Why would you do that? Exactly.
Why would you do it? If you're going to say it's not worth it, yes, fair enough, go and try it. But when you don't like it, don't come back to us and say we did tell you to do it because we didn't.
Right, exactly. I'd much rather you be honest and say, do you know what, this wasn't for us, or like same when we went to see we went to Regal View back in March. I posted a review afterwards, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the food. It's not for everyone, and I said that in my review. If you like bland food, if you like your chicken nuggets, if you like your pizza, your chips, this is not the restaurant for you. And I think, but if you do like, fine dining, then it is, like I think I had raw fish at one point, I had the tuna. And, I remember thinking, this is not going to be for everybody. And there was an amuse bouche to start with. And, so it's definitely, and it's a lot of money to spend if you're not going to enjoy it,
Like that, we've got walks booked. And I feel like right now, because of my chemo, my taste buds are just all over the place.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be a lot of money to spend on a restaurant for me to not like things. I see the amount of videos I've been watching on Waltz now just to see if it's... And it's not even a case of looking on the menu, say, oh, that sounds nice. I need to see what it looks like.
Yes.
That's a big thing about socials, isn't it? You've got to see the food.
Yeah. And that's funny. It's funny you mention that because I actually had Waltz booked for me and my husband for next week. And it was my friend Emily, who's part of Em and Step Travels, Em and Step Adventures, if you follow them. Her and her husband had booked Waltz and got a window seat for the parade, and it was beautiful. And she'd messaged me and she's like, definitely book Waltz. It's like amazing. So I had booked it, and I thought, I'm going to check the menu. And I sat with my husband and I was like, you need to be honest now, it's a lot of money to be if you're not going to enjoy it, so I've ended up cancelling the reservation. We'll go elsewhere. I'd much rather that we spent the money on food or merch that that we're happy to spend the money on, rather than sit and think, oh, do you know what, I'm still hungry, or I wasted that meal, because it is a lot of money. Like Disney, it can be as cheap as you want, but it's still pricey. You still got to have a budget there.
You say that about Walt Disney World all the time. It can be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. That you don't have to, because everyone goes to eat in the castle, you don't have to do that. Or because everybody does this, you don't have to do that. If it doesn't suit you, don't do it, because you're just going to, I'm not going to say regret it, but it's going to get to a point where you think, oh, I could have spent that money on something else.
Absolutely.
And it's just not worth it at all.
No.
And it's cranky kids, you know what it's like? You see kids all the time, overstimulated, overhyped, and the last thing you want, like, is for them to sit and have a mental breakdown, an emotional breakdown in the middle of a meal that you're paying
Right.
a fortune for. It's not right. Like, you
No,
don't need to do it
no,
just because
no.
influencers say you do it, because socials say you do it, because you think that's the right thing to do. Like, there's no right or wrong. You do what works for you, and that we say that all the time. We do, we really do. And people say to us, "Oh, can you plan a full itinerary?" Yes, I can. However, I need to know a bit about your background first, because I don't want to book you into a restaurant when I don't know if you're going to like it or not.
Right, exactly, exactly. And
Oh,
food's important, and you need your sustenance when you're in the parks. You need your you want to be getting something something decent to fill you up.
absolutely. I think you've answered this next question already, but I'm going to ask you just for the reasons why. So, what is your favourite time of year to visit the parks, and why?
Yeah, I think summer. You've got the longer park hours in the summer as well. So, you're there from like 8:30 to, you know, just after like well 10:40, I think is the fireworks. So you're getting the longer park hours, which is a bonus for me. The better weather, yes, of course you can still have some rain, absolutely, but predominantly it's going to be dry. And there's nothing worse than sitting waiting in a queue for 40 minutes and it's raining and you're soaked or you're cold. Um, so I just think as well, everything feels more alive. It's what, like you said earlier on, it's the typical, you're seeing the castle, the blue skies, the little kind of white clouds. That's the fairy tale, isn't it? It really is the fairy tale. So I think as well, you can take your time. You're not going to be rushing trying to get um from attraction to attraction to get out of the weather and the bad weather. You can enjoy and take your time and soak everything in. Whereas if you are being, you know, bet in the face with blizzards and snow and freezing cold, you're going to be wanting to get and rush to get to where you're going, whether it be a restaurant, whether it be your next ride. So for me, I just think the summer is, yeah, it's just more alive. I prefer it.
And I think when you're saying that, it's very true. Like, when you're rushing from point to point to point, you miss all the hidden details.
So
There's so many things. You've got to look all around you. If you look up, you look down, you look, like, the floor changes, depends on what land you go
just
into.
listen and
Ah,
smell, like the smells of Disney, and you're not going to get that if you're rushing and you're in a mad rush to get somewhere. Then you're not getting
mhm.
that full experience.
No, you're definitely not. And I feel like that's kind of what tainted our first. I don't want to say tainted, because it didn't. It didn't. It was magical. But it was the fact that we didn't get a chance to fully enjoy it because we were freezing. Like, there was time we left the Phantom Manor queue after we'd ridden the ride, back to the hotel, put on an extra layer of clothes. And I mean, as much as, yes, it's the hotel's within walking distance, we stayed at Sequoia Lodge. Still take a good amount of time to get out of the park, to walk through, to go changed, to get back through security, to walk back to the park and go back in. Um, and yes, we were prepared in a way, but it was the standing outside, and because you're standing still for such a long time in queues, your toes went numb.
My goodness, I actually got I invested in the obviously thermal socks were a must. They were a
And
godsend, but I also got the
what?
no, no, in fairness, no, because when you get wet, like mine got wet because I kept standing in puddles, so like my feet were getting soaking wet. But I got the heat pads for the shoes and popped them in my shoes. They definitely helped, but again, my feet were already soaking wet, so
So what were they actually really? That's the thing, you couldn't wear wellies because there's no insulation in wellies. Your feet would be freezing anyway.
right. But then with the wellies, I would definitely be going for comfort as well. So I would like for me, it's my Skechers. Like I
Yes.
will know I've learned that is my biggest mistake is not wearing appropriate footwear. And for me, I just think I'd rather be in my Skechers and even if they get soaking wet, I know I'm going to be comfy. I might be wet, I might be cold, but I'm going to be a bit more comfortable than wearing, flats or wearing wellies or boots that are like digging you into your heels.
There's
Yeah.
nothing worse when you're walking about and your feet are sore.
Oh, it's just you can't think of anything else. And that was my first mistake last year when I went to surprise my sister. I chatted with my mum first and obviously did my research and everyone was like, oh, don't wear old shoes, wear new shoes, sorry, wear old shoes that you're comfortable in and that've got a good sole. Um, and I went and purposely bought a new pair of kind of trainer shoes, they were flat. They weren't proper. They didn't have proper soles. And literally the morning of day 2, I was in tears and at pain, you know, and I still had a full day in the park to go. And it definitely put a dampener on things, you know, because I was getting grumpy towards the end as well. I could feel myself getting irritable, and so while it didn't ruin the magic, it definitely, I remember it. That's all I can remember as well, is like how sore I was, how much in agony I was. Yeah. So
And it's not pleasant. It's not enjoyable. It makes your day miserable. Just, I always see these people say to me, "Oh, what footwear do you wear?" And it's like, well, this is what I wear. But if you walk about all day in Crocs at home, wear Crocs.
weird Crocs, aye.
Whatever you wear constantly is the shoe that you should wear. None of this, oh, I'm buying new shoes to go on holiday. Do you know that way when you go to, like, I don't know, you go on a plane to like Gran Canaria or somewhere like that. If you see everybody with their new trainers on, like the big shiny airport. Actually, don't do that for a holiday like this, because you're going to be hitting. Well, in Paris, I think the most we hit was probably about 22,000. In Orlando, it gets up to about 35,000 because the parks are so much bigger.
They're so big.
So you don't want to be doing that with shoes that are so uncomfortable. And actually, one of my favourite hacks of yours is the white trainers with the bows.
Do you like them?
I love that idea. So instead of actually spending a fortune on trainers that are maybe matching your Disney bound in colour, just get one pair of white trainers and Disney bows to stick on them. Like, that's amazing. That is. I would do that for my kids if I didn't think they were going to lose the bows.
And then the bows don't cost too much either, so you can get them cheap enough, you know, and then at least
I would 3 or 4 sets.
yeah, you'd probably think a few, but yeah, no, when I did them in World of Frozen, I had got wee frosted blue bows for World of Frozen, and a few times I did have to kind of like readjust them, just because they were kind of starting to kind of slip down. But yeah, like they look the part. They definitely look the part.
That's what I might do, is see those wee elastics for your hair.
Yes.
Like, do that, put the bow on, and then round the end of the bow, around the entire bow, put the elastic.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. That is a good idea. But yeah, it just sets the shoe off. Like, just my plain white. I've got black ones as well, black trainers, depending on like what outfit I'm wearing. But yeah, they work. They work.
That was a game changer, actually. I thought, well, what could I get them that I could put on these shoes? And then when you put that up, I was like, yes.
That's what, because you can get ears. I've seen them. You can get ears for your shoes. And actually I tried to order a set months and months ago, but they didn't deliver to Ireland. They didn't ship to Ireland. And I'm like, oh, what can I do?
So what's the most underrated attraction in either of the 2 Disneyland Paris parks?
Cars Road Trip. I loved Cars Road Trip. I think there's yeah, it does. It's when you get a bit of a break for once. So like you're sitting down, it's a nice gentle ride, and then you get the excitement of, you know, when the earthquake happens and the water's like. So for me, and like last year I was on it for the first time and I didn't know what was happening, and I genuinely thought, this is just a nice gentle ride. This is such, you know, it's lovely. And then the next thing, like the cart kind of like goes lopsided, and then like the water, it was just the rush of adrenaline. I think I was like, oh, this is so much better than I thought it was going to be, you know. We had such a good laugh. So it's such a good laugh. So yeah, for me,
longer to pick something. I thought it would take you longer.
Yeah. No. It was for me, that would be the one. So yeah, I don't know if there'd be any other ones though. Like I'll tell you the one that's most overrated is Crush's coaster. For me, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. The wait times are just wild and it's over with so quickly. So for the opposite is definitely Crush's. Now that's closing for a while for refurbishment.
Closes just before we get there, and I've been hyped up to the kids because I thought they would actually quite enjoy that, because they like going backwards in certain parts of the rides. And I thought, oh, you're going to love this, you're going to love it. And then I was a bit like, oh, I've hyped up for you, sorry guys, it's going to be over. But do you know what ruined Crush's coaster for me the last time? And I don't know if this is because I know Darren's a cast member, like an ex-cast member in Orlando, and you weren't allowed to walk through different lands with different uniforms on, so to totally ruin the immersion. We were standing and do you know that way we got up the stairs to come down the other side in Crush's coaster in the queue?
Yes.
were there, and there was a guy who worked in Tower of Terror, standing in his Tower of Terror uniform,
Oh yeah, I wouldn't.
beside his coaster uniform, and I was like, Darren, is he meant to be there? And he was like, absolutely not.
No. But that sticks in your mind. Like that's
Yeah.
stuck in your mind then, you know? Like something's not right. Something's out of place here. There's somebody
Well, I think I zoomed in on this actually and took a photo, and I'll send you it privately. I'm not going to out the person,
No.
but I think if I can find the photo, I'll send you it, because I just thought that just goes against everything that Disney want. Like, they want the immersion, and you're seeing somebody who's from the Tower of Terror and crushes coaster. Like, that don't work for me.
Yeah,
I don't see it. But then can you imagine the kids? They'd be like, Mum, how did I thought this was real?
Right. It does. It kind of it takes the magic away there, doesn't it? It kind of breaks that magic for
Breaks the barrier.
Yeah.
Totally breaks the barrier,
Yeah.
and it's not. That really does stick in my mind, and that really annoyed me about that. So much as I loved the ride, it still really annoyed me.
Yeah. No, I mean the ride itself, I just felt was so overhyped and so overrated. Like last July, we ended up having to abandon. It was a 70-minute wait, and we ended up having to. We were way over 70 minutes waiting for it in the blistering heat, and we ended up having to abandon it. And then when we went back in January, and we did it again, I just remember thinking, we did it rope drop, we rope dropped it. I think that's the only time you really should do it. And if you're going to do it, rope drop. But even then, you will
Especially
be
if you're on site and you've got
Yeah.
that early entry.
Absolutely. And when I got off, I was like, oh, that's it. That was it. It was so overhyped, and like I'd done all my research, and obviously you're watching TikTok and you're watching YouTube, and everyone's like, "Oh, Crush's Coaster's amazing," and I'm like, that was just so overhyped.
Huh. And as much as I enjoyed it, because there's nothing like it in Orlando, but I wouldn't wait any more than half an hour for it, I don't think.
No, same. I wouldn't. And I don't even know if I would even purchase the premiere passes for it. To be honest with you, yeah,
Just not worth it. Not worth it at all. So now we are on to our tips and tricks that you would give first timers or just anybody really. Where is the best place to go and escape the crowds, in your opinion? Where would you, if you were feeling overstimulated, where would you go?
It's funny. I actually did a TikTok video on this, and this is actually from my mum. So it was her that found this and told me about it. So if you're on Market Street, so between Market House Deli and the entrance to Discovery Arcade, there's a lovely, quiet little seating area. It's like you can see the laundry. I think there's maybe like a Chinese kind of area, and I don't think most people know about it. You know, you've got on Market House at Market Street. There's obviously the little tables and stuff, but it's behind there, so it's if you're going to get into the Discovery Arcade. So it's a lovely wee kind of porch that you can sit down and chill out, and you're still experiencing the sounds of Main Street, but it's just a nice wee quiet area. So I've got my mum to thank for that one, because every time I go there now, I think I'm going to go and take a wee seat here and a wee breathing space, just because it does get overwhelming, you know, and it really can. So that would be my little bit. I've got that in my socials as well. So when you ask me that question, I'm like, oh, that's so good. I've actually got the right answer for that.
It's as if I've done a wee bit of research into your
Imagine that.
other than the fact I followed you for a while. It's also trying to come up with questions that are relevant, that you're going to be able to answer off the top of your head, but then at the same time, something else that you've maybe thought about in the meantime while you're talking about that. Do you know that way? Sometimes it triggers other things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And right, so that kind of takes you away from the crowds, but where is your favourite spot to sit and people watch?
So outside Stark Factory, on the Adventures campus. So I just think there's a constant flow of entertainment as well. So there's a little, it's kind of like on the corner. So as if you're facing, you're kind of on the corner to a kind of a 45-degree angle. You've got kind of the Spider-Man web adventure, and then directly over. Yeah. Yep, and then you've got Avengers Campus, sorry, you've got Flight Force directly in front of you. So if you park your bums there, there's just a really kind of there's loads of superheroes as well that are just wandering around. I think last year we sat there just to take the weight off our feet for 5 minutes, and literally the next thing I looked up and Spider-Man was on the roof doing backflips, and then Captain America literally just walked past us, and then there was Gamora and Quill did a dance off right in front of us, like all in the space of like 10 minutes. And I'm like, wow, this is the place to be if you're going to just like wanting to do some character spotting and just people watching. That is the spot for you, definitely.
I think that sounds actually quite fascinating, especially like for young kids who are obsessed with the whole Marvel universe. Like that would be their dream come true, wouldn't it? Because I think everyone talks about, oh, sit there because you'll see Mickey and whatever, or sit there because, but then I think people quite often forget about the whole Marvel aspect of it, don't they? And then when you stumble across it, oh, I forgot this was here because it's
Yeah,
not a big thing in
yeah,
Orlando. Whereas when you go to Disneyland Paris, it's huge
it is
because all of
huge.
that
And
is universal.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think again, it's so immersive. You actually feel like you are in, you know, the Marvel universe and the campus, and they're just wandering around. It's wild. And with the music and everything that's going, it's just, yeah, it's such a great spot. Such a great spot, especially for kids who are. And I wouldn't typically be an Avengers fan. I've watched the movies, I enjoyed the movies, but for me, even as an adult, I was like, oh my gosh, there's something here, there's something here, there's something here. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that, particularly if you've got a young person, a smallie that is Marvel mad. That's the place to
But even if you're not, don't rule it out. Like go see
definitely.
it. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that's what I always say to people. They say when they go to Orlando, and I know this is a Paris podcast, but it's the only way I can kind of relate because obviously we've only been there once. But with regards to the Galaxy's Edge Star Wars area, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, and I know my friend who works in Galaxy's Edge is going to listen to this and go, "Really? I know, yeah. Well, I'm not, but for her, I am because I
yeah,
love
yeah,
going to a park, right? But it's if you're not a Star Wars fan, you have to go and just walk around Galaxy's Edge because it's like that, so immersive. And you're taken in, you don't really need to know the backstory to
no,
it to actually have a good time.
right,
And it's the same as the Marvel area. Like,
yeah,
it really is.
yeah,
Because I'm not massive on Marvel either, but Darren was. And he was like, oh, this is that, this is that. And I was like, what is it? But at the same time, he's saying this. I'm going, oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. Just like what you were saying, like, there's constantly stuff going on.
yeah, yeah,
I think the kids will love it. I mean, they're not massive in Marvel either, but with the hype and the buzz and things, they will love it.
yeah, yeah. And I think the music, like, if like when a character comes out, they play the kind of the Marvel kind of theme tune. So you're like, oh, and then actually when Quill and Gamora came out, it was like one of the songs from the movie, and I was like, there's someone from Guardians of the Galaxy here, because you recognise the sound as well. So yeah, even for me, who again wouldn't be a huge Marvel fan, it was so much fun, and I actually can't wait to bring my husband, because we didn't really do the Avengers Campus in January with the husband, so I'm really looking forward to bringing him there. Again, he's not a massive like Avengers fan, but he loves that immersiveness of being like, we did Universal Studios last year, and he loved Harry Potter World. Oh my goodness, and yeah, I think he'll really, really enjoy that.
Yeah, and that is just so important to get that across, isn't it? Just because you don't like it, but because you're not familiar with it, do not miss anything. You've got to see
100%.
it all. If you can see it all, if you're only there for a short trip, prioritise what you like. But if you're there for a wee bit longer, make sure you see as much as you can.
Oh, absolutely. Because like you said earlier on, there's so many little details, that you can miss, like that, like the sounds, like the smells. Um, so yeah, I definitely wouldn't rule out, just wandering about. If you've got the time, just wander about, soak it all in. And every land, because every land's got something different to offer as well.
Yes.
Whether you're in Frontierland or Fantasyland or, Arendelle. I mean, I
Even if
enjoy
you're just a big foodie, like there's so many different food options in different lands, like to try. You don't even need to like the franchise. The big foodie. If you're a big foodie, go and try stuff in different areas.
Exactly, exactly. There's something for everyone. I have to say that I feel like when World of Frozen opened on opening weekend, there wasn't something for everyone, I have to say, but they've got better since then. Obviously, I've seen on social media they've definitely got better with their kind of kiosks and stuff. But I would definitely say within every park, there's something for everybody that they'll enjoy, whether it's pizzas, whether it is, you know, chicken goujons, whether it is the soup bowls from Adventure Way, you know, there's definitely something for everyone.
I love the little carts. See down as you're going toward Remy.
Yes. Yep. And the little, I've got a, love the, I think I put a post up this on this the other day. Actually, it's the strawberries. The chocolate covered strawberries are just divine, divine.
You know, when I end up meeting you, I'm going to have those with my kids, and their faces are going to be covered in chocolate, and it's going to be like, yay!
Like, thanks,
They'll get
Dad.
it.
Just have a
They'll
glass.
say,
The
"Hi."
key is get a glass of wine. You get the glass of wine while they're eating it, and that, yeah, it'll soften the.
And I'll forget the fact that they might give you a big cuddle, and they'll be covered in chocolate, and you'll just need to edit that out in your videos. Chocolate strawberries are their most favourite thing in the world.
Yeah.
Absolute most favourite thing in the world.
Mm.
My notes keep scrolling right up to the top, and I don't know why they keep doing that. But anyway, so what is one mistake that you hear over and over again that first timers always make?
Like trying to do everything, like trying to do absolutely everything and squeeze everything in, and then they get disappointed. You know, setting those expectations really high that they're going to see a character. You know, think you'll get to see characters, but you might not get to see the one that you want to see. Especially with the virtual queues and stuff now as well. You know, it's a bit more of a challenge, let's say, trying to get to see the characters that you want to see. Certainly back in January, we had myself and my sister Karen had matching bounds, and we wanted to see Olaf, and we had an Anna and Elsa bound that we worked really hard on. And the day we had dressed up as Anna and Elsa, Olaf wasn't there. And I was devastated, but like, okay, fair enough. But who was there was Chip and Dale. But we had a bound for the next day for Chip and Dale, and they weren't around the following day. So like, yeah, I think just set your expectations, you know, and like there's you're always going to see something, there'll be something magical, but just yeah, expect, I don't mean expect to be disappointed, but if you just manage your expectations, um you know, and give yourself a reason to come back. You know, if you don't get to see Olaf or Anna and Elsa, it's a good excuse to come back and see them.
Not the ends of the world, isn't it? Not. Whereas it is if you've told your child they're going to meet them and they're
Right.
not. And then you have to then flip that mindset into, oh, let's try this, but in the middle of a meltdown. It's
Yeah.
not going to.
No, no, no. Apparently the key, so I've heard the key is, well, if you're staying on site, you get an extra shot at meeting Anna and Elsa um, during magic hour. But apparently the key is for the virtual queues. So I've heard if you come off the Wi-Fi, like the park Wi-Fi, apparently it'll connect quicker to it. So no, I haven't tested that theory yet. I will certainly be trying that in the coming months. But
Yeah. I might add my kids as friends on yours, and then that way, if you get it, you can take them in because I might not get it.
happy to help, absolutely happy to help. We're messaging in the morning, right? Okay, did you get the tickets? Did you get into the virtual queue?
To get the virtual queue, right, I'll drop my kids off to you at such and such a time.
Um, I'm not staying on site. Funny, we'd actually booked, myself and my friend Geraldine had actually booked that weekend to go to Disney anyway. So it was such a convenient surprise that the annual pass party was going to be that weekend. Because we already had the flights booked and we had the hotel booked. So we're staying off site now. We're staying a little bit. Is it um something denoisy? I'm probably pronouncing that. I'm butchering the pronunciation of that. Um, but it's a little bit further out. It is a kind of recognised, let's say, Disney kind of, or hotel that Disneyland Paris goers go to, but it's a little bit further out than than Val d'Europe. So, um, so yeah, we're staying a little bit off site for that, but it's fine. I think as well, having an annual pass, staying on site is not always going to be financially like beneficial, you know. So yeah, I don't mind. Plus, it gives me more experience, I suppose, staying off site so that I can then recommend. Like, I won't recommend anything to any of my followers if I haven't done it myself or if I've not stayed in the particular hotel. Or so I think it'll be good for me to be able to say, "Do you know what? We stayed a little bit further out. However, this was the pluses and this was the negatives, and just gives me a bit more experience." To, right, right, right. And for that weekend that we are going for annual pass party, um, we might go into Paris. Myself and my friend might go into Paris for the day instead of going to Disney. And it might be closer. I think actually it might be a bit closer to the city of Paris that we're staying. So yeah, it just gives a bit more options. I've had such a bad experience with the trains. I have had, I've attempted the train one, two, three times, and yeah, it was stressful. Now I'm having a redemption trip um for Princess Week, so I'm going with my friend Charlene, who is she's on social. She is Magic Mischief Maker, and she is a pro at the trains. So the first time I used the train, I just found it really complicated. I didn't know where I was meant to be sitting. I didn't know which carriage I was meant to be on. I didn't know what platform I was meant to be on. And then the second time, we really struggled when we arrived in Charles de Gaulle. We tried to use the machines at the train station in Charles de Gaulle, and they were not working properly. And then when we went to ask for help, the staff were like, "Oh, this has never happened before," and walked away. So we're like, "What are we meant to do?" And yeah, it was not helpful at all. Now we eventually managed to get the tickets online, but even then, still couldn't work out which carriage we were on, which seats we had booked. And it was so busy. It was so busy. So then the third time we tried to get the train, we missed our flight was kind of delayed and we got stuck at security. So we'd missed the train and it was going to be like another hour, more than an hour for the next train. So we're like, we'll just grab an Uber. So I'm looking forward to trying the train with someone who knows exactly what they're doing and who's got loads of experience. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think, look, with the train, I have to say, like, you're 8 minutes between Charles de Gaulle and Disneyland Paris. It's only 8 minutes. So, for me, we stood for those 8 minutes because we couldn't find a seat. But it didn't feel that long. You were fine because your 8 minutes passes pretty quickly. So it is really convenient. Other than that, you're about 50 minutes, 45, 50 minutes if you are taking an Uber or a transfer, or if you're taking the Magic Bus. So, weighing that up. However, what I would say is if you're getting a train, hand luggage only, and if you're bringing kids with you, it can be a bit more problem. So there's more bodies to mind and more people to mind, and it can get busy. So yeah. Oh, I will. I will. I will. I'm looking forward to having a redemption video and being able to say, okay, I've been able to do this and it's been positive, and I can do it again in the future. Oh, excellent. Ah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, they're responsible for I look forward to seeing. Oh, yeah, typical. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, I know that feeling, I know that feeling. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay. Oh, no pressure. Disneyland after the park. For Yeah, yeah. I actually I'm going off on a tangent, but yeah, I enjoy wandering around the Disney Village after the day in the park and just wandering around the shops, and because 'cause you're just coming down off that high, and, it's like your last Disney experience before you leave the parks or going back to your hotels. So, yeah, for me and for my husband, definitely after the park and going straight towards Earl of Sandwich. That's his favourite thing. It's gotta be food, absolutely. Honestly, they think with their bellies. They really. It's definitely going to change in the coming months. I really like the Cheyenne. I'll be honest with you though, I am happy staying in Santa Fe. It's cheap and cheerful. I stayed there loads, and it does what it needs to do for me. We're only just sleeping in the hotels. We're up for Magic Hour and we're not back until the end of the night. But I did like Cheyenne. I love the theming of the Cheyenne. And just being able to see like Woody and Jessie. I really, really liked there. I'm staying at the Sequoia next week. You're hearing it here first because I haven't told anybody yet. We were meant to be staying in Santa Fe and we've upgraded to the Sequoia because of the heat wave. We're thinking at least we've got a pool and some air conditioning. Yeah, so staying there. Yeah, well, I don't. The rooms aren't available yet until September. They just announced that today, actually, that the new upgraded rooms are available. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to trying a new hotel. To be honest with you, and having the pool.
Favourite hidden spot? I think you've answered all these already.
Favorite hidden spot actually is it's actually the Snow White Seven Dwarf, the Seven Dwarfs shop. Um, for the simple reason is there's so many things to see in that shop. You know, you've got the dwarf's bed, you've got the Disney key on the wall that not everybody knows about. And it's actually like a little attraction in its own right as well. And I think so many people walk past it and don't realise it's there, you know. So I think that for me would be nice to be hidden spot for shopping and for yeah, seeing all the hidden Mickeys and stuff.
Hidden everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it isn't actually very in your face.
No, no, no.
And I like that about Disney. I like the fact they do that and they keep some things under wraps.
Yeah.
And it's an if you know kind of situation, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and I didn't until it was my sister was like, "Oh, let's go in here," and, like, then you spot it's almost like the beds, like, that are the drawers, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool the way they've done that." Like, the theming is just it's just on point, it really is, it's so lovely.
Just across all Disney parks, isn't it? I know we keep mentioning it,
Mhm.
but the theme is just fantastic.
Yeah.
What's your favourite Disney soundtrack?
The Lion King. Oh, wow, that came really quickly. I wasn't
That did.
expecting that.
That did.
The Lion King, wow, there you go, but I think, again, it's nostalgia, and I also think with Tales of Magic, like, you know, the Tales of Magic where it's the whole "He lives in you," and wow, that's just it's really emotive, I think, and really powerful. So yeah, and I love ever since I was wee though, I've always loved the Lion King soundtrack. And I brought my little sister Karen, gosh, when she was younger, to see the Lion King in Edinburgh Playhouse. And I remember watching what was going on stage. You know, I wasn't even watching what was going on, it was more her and like the music. Yeah, and then The Lion King, obviously, hearing all the popular songs. in the space of 30 minutes in the show in Disneyland Paris. I think for me is something about.
That was really, I can't believe how quick that came, because you don't know about any of these questions.
No,
I didn't think.
no, and I'm quite shocked at myself actually how quickly I was like, oh yeah, no, it's the Lion King, and I'm like very validated by that. I'm like, yep, that's.
I did see that in your face though. You said it and then your eyes lit up as if like, oh, right,
Yeah.
that's what I'm going for. I love it. I absolutely love it. Right, last one then. I don't know if you'll be able, maybe you will. One attraction you'd save forever if you could only keep one.
My favourite ride, like I could ride that all day. I think it's so much fun. Yeah.
That's my kid's favourite ride.
Again, the theming, when you're going in and it's like everybody's in, they're like the stone cold faces, and they're very serious, and even when you get into the ride and they're like, you've got to, hold on, no taking photos, and they're very serious about, their role, and they take on the persona of being, the bellboys, and it's a fantastic ride, a really fantastic ride.
The whole time, don't they?
Yes.
And I think our kids are going to, that's another one that's so different in Paris to Orlando. And it's going to be really interesting to see their take on it, because they are so used to the set video or the set scenes that you go through. And it's all solely on the wee girl in Paris.
Aye.
And they will be like, what? How? I think that's the ride that's going to make them see that things are changing. I think with Pirates, yes, you'll see it's different because there's a couple of drops.
Aye.
But I think with Tower of Terror, they know that ride inside out. I mean, they do that on repeat. If we're at Extra Magic Hours or whatever, they do that on repeat.
Oh, yeah.
And they know it inside out. So for them to go to something that's similar concept, it's practically the same ride, but it's hard to say it's completely different because it is.
There's no glam bot though in Disneyland Paris. I would love it if they would like install a glam bot.
That would be
unreal. Yeah.
That would be so good. But there's just so much to look forward to in the coming months, isn't there? Really, you've got so many amazing trips planned and so much to.
I've been so lucky, I think, with my trips so far and in future. My trip last year with Karen, and seeing the surprise in her face, and then sharing that with my husband in January, and being able to witness the whole and experience the whole festivity and the Christmas, and even though it was January, it's still Christmas themed, which was amazing. And then being able to be there for World of Frozen, we were there for World of Frozen opening. We were like right at the front of and we were one of the first people Adventure Worlds and Adventure Bay, and riding the Frozen Ever After. It was just incredible. And then, being able to see, being there for Princess Week. I'm so looking forward to that as well, and all that's got to offer. And then Halloween, yeah. Looking for, it's been a good year. It's been a good year so far. I'm looking forward to this.
When you put so much effort into your socials and things, I think it makes you, sometimes it makes you take a step back and actually reevaluate things in the park, doesn't it? Because I find that you take a step back and you think, oh, I need to stop here and take pictures of this, that, or videos of this, that, and the next time, because you never know when it's going to help somebody.
Yes, yeah.
As much as in that moment for yourself and your family, you also then start to think about the wider community.
You do, and what would be helpful for someone else? If you experience something, would that be helpful for someone else? You definitely do. And I've got to say, I'm so glad I set up my socials last year, and I wasn't, it was, I initially just did it for fun. I wasn't really thinking about building any sort of community, or it was just for me and to document my trips, and it's grown into something more than that. And I suppose there's a real sense of responsibility as well with that, and what comes with that. I mean, you'll feel that as well with what you do.
You've not uploaded something because you've had 7 or 8 trips to help people book and plan. Not that we don't book the trips, we just book restaurants and things for them. But then you've also got the social side of it that you need to try and document, and sometimes you just end up not documenting anything Disney. It's just something about your daily life. But then you've been a lot, we've been to Orlando a lot, that we can turn our daily life into something relating to Disney.
Yes.
And put that, does that make that, it probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but I think if you do this, you can relate to it.
You do, you really do. And it's such a great community to be part of. It really is, you know. It's been, and the amount of lovely, I genuinely mean this, the amount of lovely people that I've met and generous people. And yeah, just forever grateful to be a part of it. I really am. And I'm enjoying it. I'm really, really enjoying it. And like that, I'm so looking forward to, you know, my future trips with the husband and with the girls and with my best friend. And yeah, it definitely is my happy place. Disney is my happy place, and I didn't know I would feel that way. So like I said, I actually had a big gap between my first Disney trip and my trip last year. And I remember saying to my mum, because my mum and my sister would go every year or every second year, give or take. And I remember going last year and saying to my mum, I'm really worried that I'm not going to feel the same way as you guys. Like, I'm worried that I'm not going to, like, I remembered it from being small and I really enjoyed it, you know, because I was small and it was magical and the princesses were real and, you know, Mickey Mouse was real. He is real. But as an adult, I'm like, I just don't know if I'm going to feel the same way. And we sat and from the first moment I saw that castle, when I saw the castle, it hit me. And then I saw Minnie and her marching band, and I started blubbering like a baby. I was like, wow, what's happening here? You know, that's, you know, I'm crying over a mouse, you know. And then we were in Pim's restaurant, and I remember sitting with my mum having dinner and my sister. I remember saying to my mum, I get it. I get why you're coming here every year. I get why this is your favourite place. And as soon as you walk in that park, you become a 5-year-old child. You're not thinking about the bills. You're not thinking about, you know, like health concerns. You know, you're just turning into this child with no worries. And you're just in awe. And I think
Oh,
that's the word. Is you're in awe. You know, when you're in the parks, and it does something. It really does something to your psyche, to your mental health. And
it
you
should be on
can.
prescription.
Mhm.
The holiday should be on prescription because it really does help no matter what you're going through. You say you leave it at the door.
Oh, very much. You do. You really do.
The minute you step under the train station, it's everything's forgotten about.
Mhm.
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I fully agree with you. Fully agree with you. I remember I'm speaking to a friend actually, and she had said she was reading. I must try and find this article. But there's an article out there that in terms of like pain management and like mental health, the best was emotion you can feel to help suppress or at least feel like you're suppressing any sort of pain, is awe. It's awe. So seeing that castle and thinking, oh my goodness, and just being in awe of it. Apparently, it's one of the strongest emotions that you can feel to reduce the pain. You know, it's not obviously going to take away completely. It's not, but for a short moment, you know, you feel a little bit better.
Yeah,
You
you
really,
do. It's so hard for people who haven't been to understand that. It really is.
yeah, yeah,
And it's everything about it is magical.
yeah.
Absolutely everything.
Yeah, and
And
it's real magic, isn't it?
uh
It's real magic. It's palpable. You can feel the magic. It's the only
yeah,
way you can explain it is to
uh
experience it.
And then that's the thing, like the kids, they're getting to that age now where they do ask to go to Disney. As much as we're going to go, it's what we do. Like it is what we do. But they're starting to think and look at things and go, well, that Pluto's got to be an imposter because the real Pluto was on a parade. So they're now at a point where they're feeling the magic more, I think, than when they were little because they're trying to keep the magic going.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
down to them to keep the magic going. Does that? I think that makes me sound like I don't know. I know what I mean by that, and they don't want the magic. I think they don't want the magic to end, and
right,
the magic doesn't end. It doesn't.
right. And so they look for the magic in places that they
Ah,
maybe wouldn't look for it before. And I think for
yeah,
children as well, especially at the age of your kiddies, you know, they are getting to that age where they're questioning more things, and you know, they're experiencing the pressures of growing up as well, you know. So I think it gives them an excuse, and it gives adults an excuse as well, to be a child and to not have to apologise for being a child. You know, does that make sense? And I think
Yeah.
Disney does that so well. So, and even the cast members are phenomenal. They're not, except for the one that was in Crush's coaster that wasn't meant to be there. But
Honestly, see if I had my kids there, that would have been a major conversation. Like,
yeah,
oh,
burst the bubble. But the
yeah.
cast members are just wonderful, wonderful. They really are, and they make the magic. They really make the magic as well.
I also think it depends on what magic you get back from cast members as to how you treat cast members.
100%, absolutely,
You
absolutely.
treat them with the utmost respect, you're going to get more back from them.
Mhm.
You might get pixie dusted by something, but if you go up and start demand, you're going to get nothing.
No.
And it's the same in every walk of life. Treat people how you want to be treated, isn't it? It's just, and I feel like the Disney community is very much like that. Everyone's on the same wavelength, and everybody just, there's an understanding.
There is that understanding. There definitely is, and it's lovely, you know. And again, it's like you're making no apologies for who you are and for just because life's tough, right? Life is really hard. And if you can get a little bit of enjoyment, a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of magic within from Disney, then that's not a bad thing. That's not.
Definitely not. And I totally agree with absolutely everything you've said today. But obviously, like I said, everything you've said in the Paris side of it, I would say identical for the Orlando side of it.
Yeah.
And I think that was my worry about taking the kids to Paris, because we're so used to knowing what we're doing. When it comes to Orlando, we just do it.
Yes, it's second nature.
It's a bit up in the air, because obviously we're then going to be like constantly having. I mean, I'm not saying we don't watch our kids in Orlando. We do, but I know they know where they're going. If they're lost, we always say we'll meet up at a certain place, and they know where that place is. Whereas here, we can have that conversation. They'll be going, "Well, where is that?"
Yeah.
Because they haven't done this.
Yeah, they haven't experienced it. Same.
Yeah.
What are the girls looking for? What are they looking forward to? What is it they're looking forward to about going to Disneyland Paris?
Honestly, don't really know. Ayla's, well, they've both said Tower of Terror, because I mean that is their favourite ride.
Yeah.
But I think how we've explained it to them is it's Disney as you know it, but at the same time it's ever so slightly different, because a lot of the same rides are there, but they're not in the same places. So it's making it that hunt, that kind of, I don't want to say a treasure hunt because it's not a treasure hunt, but let's look at a map. So we tend to make it like an educational experience as well for them. Like, there's a map, try and find your way to such and such. Because I mean, we're taking them out of school, which
right, you have to, yeah. But I also think that taking kids out of school and having them experience a holiday like Disney, they're going to get so much more than that than sitting in a classroom for 3 days. You know, if you're taking them out for 3 days, like, think about the cultural experience that they're going to get going somewhere like that. You know, the social impact that's going to have. Yeah, I'm a massive advocate for taking kids out of school.
Yeah. I mean, we took them out obviously last year for our 2 weeks in Orlando. Most years we do, because Darren's obviously, he works in emergency services, so he has to. He's children, so we can't just dictate to his work when he's going away. So I mean, and the school are very understanding. Obviously, the last year for them has been as rubbish for them as it has been for me, because you've not been able to do as much with them. And last summer holidays, I just had my operation, and I couldn't have them much. My mum had them most of the time. And then you have your chemo, my mum took them, and I was very much like, I hardly seen them in last year. So honestly, it's time we need. It's that time that we need to just go away and do things. And we are taking them into Paris we're Disneyland Paris for 4 nights, and we're in Paris for 3. So we're actually taking them in to see the Eiffel Tower and to see like loads of, and we're all into like a cultural experience for them as well. So it's not just a case of going to Disneyland and riding some rides that you've maybe ridden before somewhere else, but with a different take on it. We're trying to put that wee spin on it too for them. So
I also think just creating those memories as a family, you know, they're priceless. That's priceless. Is creating those core memories, you know, and for them to look back and say, "Gosh, you remember when we went to Paris and we saw that, we saw the Eiffel Tower, we saw the Louvre, we saw the Seine, we saw, you know, But we also went to Disneyland Paris, and just creating those bonds and those kind of family memories together. Again, you can't put a price on that.
Can't put a price on it. Not at all.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely not at all. And I think it's just being together for a wee while. Do you know that way, like a good few days away just together, and then that way. No, I'm not saying all the guilt from the last year goes away. It doesn't, for not being around for them as much as I should have been, but it helps. It does help.
Just like something to look forward to, you know, and like that shared enjoyment, that shared excitement, that shared planning, you know. Big advocate for trips.
Just take them out of school.
Loads of teachers will be like, absolutely not, it's short, you know, it's
yeah, every teacher I've spoken to have said the opposite. They've said, go for it.
Go, absolutely. And like that, life's too short, you know. It really is. It really is.
They'll always catch up. It's not like you're taking them out for 6 months of the year.
No, exactly. It's
yeah, absolutely. It sure is. So now you're talking about your future trips, where can people find you if they want to go searching for you?
I'm on TikTok and I'm on Instagram, and my handle is wwishyouweremel. So yeah, please go and follow me on those. It's mostly Disney, but there's a lot of me taking the mickey out of my husband on that. Yeah. And I'm also I love cruising, so there's a lot of cruising information on that. Haven't done a Disney cruise yet. That's one thing that is on the bucket list. And just different little random days out in Ireland as well. But at the moment, it's heavily Disney because obviously I've got 4 upcoming trips. So there's a lot of Disney content there.
It's insane. That is actually insane. 4 trips lined up. Like, there's no way to go over a Disney trip but to have another countdown.
And that's honestly, I firmly believe that. The Disney blues are real. They are absolutely real. I remember after World of Frozen, and I knew I was coming. I didn't know I was coming in July. I knew I was coming for Princess Week, and in my head, I'm like, I need another Disney fix. I need it. So yeah, the Disney blues are real. Definitely have another Disney booked prior to you leaving your current trip. Make sure you've got something else booked.
Yes, and it doesn't matter what Disney. It doesn't matter where, as long as it's Disney.
Exactly.
Yeah, the kid. Honestly, I think the kids are going to have a ball, especially now because they're going to be looking for you in the parks now. They've actually chatted to you on this out of or off air. Sorry, should I say? Yeah, and now you've promised them a bracelet.
I'm so looking forward to seeing them. That's also, I love meeting people. Like, that's genuinely, like, for me, meeting people in the parks. You know, people coming up and saying hello. You know, or just sitting chatting. You could be in a queue, and you're just sitting chatting to somebody, you know, that's next to you in the queue, and I love that. I love that. So yeah, if anybody does see me in the parks, please come up and say hello. It's yeah, that means so much. It really is. I'm very much a connection person. I like connecting with people.
That's what annoyed me about November. So it was our first day in Hollywood Studios, and then someone actually messaged us on our socials at the end of the day and said, "Oh, we saw you today in Hollywood Studios, but didn't come up and say hi." And I was like, "Why?"
You're not interrupting. For me, you wouldn't be even if we're sitting eating. You're not interrupting me. You know, like that would not. No. That was it. And people have done that with me as well. They're like, "Oh, I saw you at the park," and I'm like, "Why did you not come over and say hello?" And like, "Oh, I didn't want to bother you." And like, you're never going to bother.
No, you're never going to bother me to sit and talking about our favourite subject.
Right.
We'll probably bother you because we'll keep you there talking to you forever.
Like, Scottishness as well. Like, we definitely can. We can talk for Scotland. Like,
I wonder how many people have managed to stay tuned without subtitles on this podcast.
Oh, I've had so many people request particularly on my Insta, not so much on my TikTok, but definitely on my Insta. I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, can you put the captions up? I can't understand a word you're saying." That's a you problem.
That's a you problem. That's a me problem. Although I do think since the Tartan Army took over Boston, I think they're starting to understand us a bit more now.
I think so. Yeah, I think they're not having much option, aren't they? Not they really? They're getting the immersive experience of the Scots.
They drink them dry. Their year's worth of beer going in about 5 days. Oh well, that's what happens.
Exactly, exactly. Oh.
Never been prouder to be Scottish.
Thank you for having me. It's been a I know, and I've got a cardigan I'm crocheting from a bound, so that's what I'll be doing for the rest of the evening, just finishing off this card.
But thank you so much, and we will chat again soon. We need to get you back on after all these trips to discuss them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm up
Thank you. Bye.